Hello again, Dr. John Robertson, the volunteer librarian for OSCAR, and this is part 5 in my series of creating eForms, but it's truly part 1 if we're looking at where I've completely moved away from the eForm generator and now gone to just looking at using a text editor to modify eForms. I'm still using the same mood disorder questionnaire here. Just for continuity's sake, if you've been following along in the videos. The thing that I'm going to do in this short video is I'm going to look at ways to deal with the second page. So this has one page where we're filling out some check boxes, but there is a second page here that just talks about how to use it and how to score it. Now, we don't necessarily need to print that out every time that we print this eForm out. As a matter of fact, it probably is going to be a waste of paper to do that. So what if we didn't have this second page print out, but we had it available for us to look at? I'm going to talk about two ways to do that. One way is to make the second page a link that does not print, but you can click on the link and look and see what the second page says. And then the other way I'm going to look at this is creating an accordion menu on the side of the eForm that you can open and close to have a look at the information that's available on our second page. So if we are going to change this from a page to a link, we're going to have to change a couple of things in the code that we currently have, and we're going to add a code for link to click to go to the second page. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the code in my text editor, and I'm using Notepad++. You could, of course, use the Microsoft Visual Basic code editor as well. If I go into my text editor here, you'll remember in the previous video that I used this code for reimage so that I could see the second page inside and outside of OSCAR. We have to tweak this code slightly if we're using the second page as a link rather than as a background image for a page. So I'm going to jump over to another form that I've made, and this is the Rapid Access Clinic for Psychiatry in Fraser Health. It's the 2017 model, and we're going to have a look at the code in my Rapid Access Clinic page, and you'll see here the source here, source 2, I've changed the name to Backpage. I don't need to do that. I could still have it as BG Image 2, but in this case I did change the name, which is fine either way. But the important part here is I've changed the SRC to an HREF, and I've changed it both here where it is after the back page, and then here as well, whether it's after the back page, and I have to change it in both those places so that it functions to show me the link rather than showing me the second page. So if I just take this 4-letter acronym here, and then I go back into my mood disorder questionnaire, and I change this background image so that now it's the 4 letters instead of the previous 3 letters. That means that this is going to now be a link rather than a second page. The next thing I have to do is I have to create that link in the eForm. So I'm probably going to create that link somewhere it's easy to see. If we look at the eForm and I look up to the top here, I could put it off to the side, or I could put it right above the name. Either way would be fine. I'll put it off to the side here so that it doesn't distract from the eForm. If I go back into my text editor and I go back into that Rapid Access Clinic Psychiatry form, I'm going to scroll down to where the second page would be, which is actually the link. There it is right there. You'll notice that I have an angle bracket and then an A, and that's an anchor for a web link. And I can simply just copy this whole piece of code and actually just go down to where the second page is. And so I'm copying that whole line down to just before the end of that page there. I'm going to then take this and pop it into the eForm that we are working on. And I'm going to actually put it up the top here. I'm going to have to change this to background image 2 because that's what I've got here. So let me just copy that. And I'm just going to change this here. I have a class do not print 2, and we're going to have to put some code in so that it doesn't print the link, the actual text of the link, when I go to print this eForm out. This link class, we'll get to that in another video. We're not going to bother with that just at the moment, but I do need to decide where I'm going to place this. Now, this width of this eForm is 750 pixels, which you can see right here. So if I want this off to the side, it has to be further than 750 pixels. So I'm going to change it to 760 pixels. And then I'm also going to change it to right up at the top. So maybe 10 pixels from the top. Now the width and the height we can manipulate, but I'm going to need to change this bit here so that it actually refers to my web page. So let's go down to where I've got the second page here, and this is the bit that I need. So after the curly brackets, up until the period before the PNG, all of that information, and then I'm going to go up to the link here. And again, after the curly brackets and all the way up to the period before the PNG, and change that. Okay. Now, target blank, that means that it's going to open up in a new page. And then I've also got a title here so that when I hover over the link, it'll say back page. You can use Control P to print. Now, if you're in a Mac, that would be Command P. But when you go to open up the link, if you actually wanted to print the link, you could use Control or Command P to do that. Now, if I've done that and I have a background image here, I don't want a background image here. These are both named the same, and that would be confusing for the code to have two IDs that are exactly the same. So I don't want, I don't need the second page here, and I don't need this image. I should keep all of these hidden values. Some of these are going to be used for other things like signatures. And if you look at this second page here, if I click on the div for the second page here, you'll see that the highlight goes all the way down to here, which means that everything in here is inside that second page. That's important because we need to put this stuff now into the first page if we're going to get rid of the second page. So I'm going to copy everything apart from this background image down to where that was highlighted, this div right before the form here. And I'm actually going to go Control X. In a Mac, it would be Command X, and that will cut everything out. And then I'm going to put it inside my first page. So this div, if I go to the first page here and click on div, then that is where the end of the first page is. So I'm going to paste everything inside that first page. Okay, now I can completely get rid of this second page. And if we save this, and if we go and open up our mood disorder questionnaire and we refresh the screen here, so we can see that there's a link here to the back page. And if we click on it, then it opens the back page. And then, as I said, if you went Control or Command and P, you would be able to print this back page. I'm going to close this back page. It opened up in a separate tab for me. Now, I pulled a bit of a fast one here on you. This link here initially didn't show up when I opened the page. And the reason for that is I didn't put any text in with my link. So let's go back and see where I cheated and show you what I'm talking about here. So this is the line, and it's got that A at the front for anchor. And then at the end here, there's the angle brackets with a backslash and an A. Initially, I did not have this bit here where it said back page instructions. I had copied and pasted that from that other Rapid Access Clinic psych page. And what I'd done on the other psych page, and maybe I'll just show you this. So in the Rapid Access Psychiatry Clinic referral form, down here at the bottom, it says, please turn over. And I just made the link as a box around this please turn over. I didn't actually put any text in there. I used what was already in the image. But if I don't have something like that, then I do need to put some text in my link so that I can see where the link is. I also used some cascading style sheet here to change this into a button that that changes color when I hover over it. I'll show you that later on in another video where we look at creating a class called link to do that for us. All right, back to the mood disorder questionnaire. I now have back page instructions, and I don't have this second page down here, and I moved everything that was at the bottom of the first page into my code for the first page, so it's all linked in here appropriately. I think we're going to stop there. That's long enough. My next video, we're going to have a look at, instead of linking to the back page, because I don't think we'd actually ever print that, we're going to create an accordion so that we can see that code, see that information, but not actually even have a page that we need to open up to look at it. Before we go, though, a couple other little points about the code here. In my code here, I've got do not print to, and I've got link. Link I showed you is the way I've changed the styling of it so that it becomes more obvious that it's a button you can click on. But the do not print to here is code that we need to add to the eForm itself. Now, for reasons that I won't get into, there's already code that is do not print. It's associated with the bottom buttons. Do not print to is basically a repeat of that code because of some of the links with some of the other code that you'll find, like faxing and where the buttons for faxing go. I have created a separate class called do not print to, which doesn't confuse where the fax buttons go. Now, to do that, basically, I'm going to scroll up here and I'm going to go into the style that is media print, and it says do not print, display none. So when I go to print something and it's using class do not print, which actually is used down the bottom here in the bottom buttons, which is the print and submit buttons. When you use that sort of code and display none, then if you go to print your eForm, the stuff that has that class in it doesn't print. So if we go to this code here, I don't want that to print when I print the eForm. And if I go to print here, I don't want this to be here because it actually makes the width change and makes it narrower. So I need to create a do not print to get rid of that bit. So let's go into the code. We're going to just, in this media print section here, we're going to copy that do not print. We're going to paste it again, and I'm just going to put 2 here. And I'm going to save that. And now it will still show up when I'm looking at the eForm and I'm working on it. And if I refresh the screen, it still shows up here. But now, if I go to print this, it's gone. It's not here anymore. And this is wider and filling more of the page. All right. So that's why we put it in there. We don't need it when we're printing it out. As a matter of fact, it looks ugly. So we put that code in and made it disappear when you go to print it. We'll be back in another video and we're going to look at the accordion. And after the accordion, maybe we'll look at that little bit of link code to make the button show up more when you want to click on it. Thank you for your time. Hope this was helpful. See you in the next video.